Welcome to our contribution today called Unleashing Potential. In fact, we want to unleash your full potential. I've got a surprise guest for you today, somebody that is very known and well known in the coaching arena at Archer Inspirations. No one else than Kenny Archer himself. Kenny, welcome to today's insert.
Thank you so much, Doc, and thanks for the opportunity.
Fantastic. Now, obviously, I know that you're helping a lot of people in the coaching world with the skills that you have, because you have a philosophy that definitely must be working, because I know of the people who are speaking very highly of you. So, Kenny, what is your secret juice? Why do people go to you? Tell us about yourself.
So at the end of the day, I've got a very simple philosophy in life. Coaching practice, in everything I do, is everybody deserves a coach. And that's the way I look at it. And I believe that the world is big enough and wide enough for everybody to help each other build their businesses and have coaches for everybody together. And I'm very much one of those people that does it as it is. Everybody's different. Everybody's got their own dreams. Everybody's got their own ambitions. And I hear them out. I hear them, what they're saying. Sometimes you have to push them in a direction. Sometimes you have to pull them back in a direction. But ultimately, it's to help them get where they want to go. And you have to be honest with them. And you can't make it look all pretty and wonderful. And, sometimes people paint things that aren't real. So sometimes you have to call it out the way you see it. And yes, the way I see it may not always make some people happy, but most generally take what I say and look at it. And I give people a different view on what they're doing. I don't do the normal coaching where this is the program and we're going to go through 6 weeks or 6 months and we're going to cover all of these things. No, I get to know you, get to know what your challenges are, and let's work on your first win. Let's get the first win under the belt, whichever is going to be that first thing that you really want to get done. Because in actual fact, 9 out of 10 times, that first thing that you think is your biggest challenge is actually not, because there's another whole bunch of challenges that are in the way which have been blocking you from getting there. But it's a good starting point, and that's how I work with people.
I like what I hear, because obviously, so you're not coming with, yeah, I've got a cookie cutter recipe. I do it this way. I do it the same way, this way with every client. You basically firstly build the relationship. Secondly, you look at a needs-based analysis in terms of what do they require. 10 to 1, looking at a gap analysis of where they could be going. But every single client you treat uniquely, and that's the way I understand it. So the journey from person 1 to person 3 will be a different journey, correct?
Correct. And coaching is a journey. It's not a program. It's a journey that you go on. It's a change to life. It's a change to your business. It's like going on holiday. You work it out, you plan it, you go along, but things happen on the way. Things happen when you get there. It's not what you thought it would look like. It didn't look like it does in the pictures. It's different, and you've got to be able to go through that as you go along.
Well, especially, you're just making me think of, you go online, you see these beautiful pictures, and you're getting this beach, and the water is going to be blue, and you arrive there. There's been torrential rains, the water is brown, the property that you're staying is nothing like you imagined, and it is such a disappointment. But you've got the skill to say, hold on, that's reality, that's life. So how are you going to manage it? How are you going to cope with it? How are you going to really have remedial steps to go through and actually find a solution? But every case, as you say, is different.
So enjoy the holiday.
Yeah, you're on holiday. And what do you want to do? You want to relax.
Yeah.
You want to sort out a lot of challenges on holiday. That's not the place for challenges. You want to just be successful. But you know what's
and
about,
that's what everybody.
what I can hear is the difference between a tour guide and you get a tour guide, and then somebody that actually will plan your vacation for you. But the person that plans the vacation, the office has never been in the country, may deliver a service. But the person who's been there, that's normally your person who's got far more experience to say, here are the pitfalls, watch out for this. Hey, here's some inside tips for you for what to do, where you want transportation, etc. And I do believe that's what your coaching style is going to bring, because I see the word inspiration. Talk to me about your inspiration part.
So the inspirational part goes back. So I originally studied art, and I was going to go down the art line. Okay. And then I decided, no, it wasn't going to be for me. And I ended up going into retail, and I spent 10 years in one large company there. And then did a couple of other things in between, even down to selling coffee cups, takeaway coffee cups, before takeaway coffee cups were a thing. Seattle, they just come into South Africa. They just tells you how long ago it was, back in 1997, 98, somewhere there. I used to walk into, you'll remember the good old Greek cafes in the corner in Joburg.
I do.
I used to walk in there with coffee cups in my hand and go and buy an old polystyrene cup, and then over exaggerate how hot it was, and then pour that into my beautiful takeaway cup, and then over exaggerate drinking it. And of course, the guy would go, "What's this?" You know, and I'd say, "Well, no, it's takeaway coffee cup filler. It doesn't burn your hand. You know, it keeps the coffee hot, and you can." And I would give him a few and come back tomorrow and sell him a box.
You can see the cup. That's very clever. You can see the cup. Yeah.
You drink it, the coffee. You feel it.
Yeah. All the senses are involved in the engagement of just having that coffee. Isn't that true? But that
an emotional connection.
Yeah. But you're talking about this journey. Now, obviously, as you connect with the different people, is there a preference in terms of who's your ideal client that you love to work with? Let's understand is there a niche market or is there not?
So there is a niche that I like to play around with. Well, play around with is probably the right way to say it, that I like to explore, and that is family businesses. Okay. I just love the extra drama that comes along with a family business because of the personalities and the role changes. Because by day you may be the boss, but when you get home you're not, and vice versa.
Yep.
You know, the child in the business has to learn how to step up and go into the role that's expected from them, whereas the parent doesn't express the role that is expected of them. They just assuming that the child would know it, or and whichever aspect you look at it. And it's to create the correct communication. It's to create the layers of delivery within the organization. You often get that situation of the staff think, it's the boss's kid, they can get away with it. Let's wipe that off the slate. It's a business. It's not a family affair. It is still a business, and it's got to be run like that, even though there is always going to be a different culture in a family business to what a normal business is.
But here's the problem.
It's aligning that to.
In a true family business, you can't fire your son because you're in a family business. Well, I say you can't. Of course you can.
Yeah.
But I find that that's one of the problems in a family business, is that the people actually bring a low productivity curve. They're not fully entrenched. They're not committed to the vision. Because I'm family, I can hang in there. I'm pretty sure you're going to advocate, well, there's a specific way to handle that person. Talk to us about that.
So you've got to go in, and that's where you go back down to actually understanding, well, what is the role? What are your own expectations of what you should be delivering? And then what is the role, and what are the expectations you should be delivering? And how do we get the two to meet? And the reality of there's going to be a form of exit strategy within a family business. There has to be, otherwise, what are they working for? Okay. And so the first person you've got to get the mindset right is the founder of the family, or the head of the family. You've got to get them to accept they've got to let go. Then you've got to go and say, right, how do you let go, and who you letting go to? Then you look at the person who's expected to be let go to, and actually let them understand what that role is. And then the big question comes, is it something you want? Or is it something you feel is expected of you? Because if it's something they just expect and not what they want, it's never going to work.
Because I actually want to ask you that question, because so often parents live their dreams through their children. So now you've got Pete, and he gets called, and he's the son, and he has to do the certain job, but he loathes it. He hates it. He doesn't want to be there. What would be your guidance and counsel to the head of that family to say, do you continue pushing, although the son doesn't want to be there? What would you counsel?
You got to have the open conversation. They've got to make this decision. You've got to put the options on the table in front of them so they can make the decision and they can make the choice. All you're doing is you're highlighting. You're bringing it to their attention and saying, listen, Pete doesn't really want to be here. This is not his dream. His dream is the following. And have a proper dream put down together. That's what Pete actually would love to do. This is where his passion lies. Now, your decisions have to be made, but I need you to make a decision because I can't continue coaching until you guys have decided what you want to do. So, do you want to let Pete go off and fulfill his own ambition whilst we look for somebody who will continue with the business? Or do we now say, okay, we're going to sell your business, and now we start building the business up in the right manner to be sold? Because remember, in family businesses, most family businesses, well, there's lots of corners cut.
Yeah, that's true.
So we've got to get the book ready. So you've got to make those decisions, and they got to make those decisions. And yes, you might get the one parent who says, "No, I don't give a damn what he says. He's going to take over the business." Well, then you already know you're in for a long.
Forcing the poor kid to do something that he absolutely loves, you might actually get a forced reaction and some productivity, but ultimately, if the guidance from a coach like yourself, myself, just to say, let the child be and let him build his dream, rather become part of the solution than actually remain the problem. Because if you're not letting go, you're the problem. The child is not the problem. You are. Can you agree?
It is. That's the beauty of it. And I love it. I love those situations. You get a parent and a child who have got to that point where the responsibilities are starting to start out to the other and the ones working their way out. Then something comes up, and the natural instinct of the parent is to take control and take over.
Yeah.
Now they're stepping on the child's toes and undermining their authority. That is so much fun. It's so much fun to open the eyes up and let them see what others are seeing. And then they wonder why they have problems with their staff.
True. The whole note of giving people what they need versus what they want. If you think about it, because for a coach, it's about long-term solutions. It's seeing that there was success, that there was growth. I mean, why be engaged if you see this is a disaster heading for no result whatsoever? So I can only agree with you. Go for the long-term result.
Yeah. Other parts of the business, I do consulting. Well, if you want me to come in and fix it for one day, sure, I can come in and fix it for the one day. But guess what? 3 weeks time, 4 weeks time, 6 months time, it's going to be back the way it was. So let's work on the more productive long-term solution on anything you do.
And how many touch points on average would you spend with, say an SME entrepreneur that says, okay, Kenny, I want you to come and just advocate and just walk alongside me and be an assistance to me. So how many touch points, how many meetings on average would it take to steer and guide a business owner?
My longest client's been with me for almost 7 years.
Wow. Okay, now talk to me about that, because that to me is good news, because it means there's a journey that commenced, there's compatibility, there's trust, and you've become a trusted part of the solution. And have the results been there? Must be. Otherwise, they would not pay you to be there.
So it started with a phone call. And she says to me, Kenny, I've just lost my job, but I've got an idea. I said, cool, let's meet. We sat down, we looked at the idea, and I said, yeah, I can help you. I just become a coach. Okay.
Okay.
So I was still wet under the ears under being a coach. And she was going to go into marketing. She had this whole marketing plan, etc. together. And I said to her, okay, so I can't afford your marketing. You can't afford my coaching. In reality, let's work together and let's trade it off. We're still trading it off today, but we invoice each other.
Okay.
But we still trading. We meet weekly still. Sometimes it's 10 minutes, sometimes it's an hour. It's what she needs when she needs it. So we have our weekly meeting scheduled. Whether we use the full hour or not, doesn't matter. So some clients I'll work with weekly, some clients I work with every second week, some clients we've moved to once a month. And we go back and forth. They go through a point in their business where they need me more than they normally did. I go back to weekly with them. So it's flexible.
Okay. What I can see here is a tailor-made journey. What do you need to be successful? How often do you require me to assist, intervene, be alongside you so that you can be successful? That to me is the punchline. And I want to applaud that because it is so much different to what I call forced coaching. Because sometimes it's a forced pattern. You have to do this, you have to do that. And, like I say, if you're hungry, if you literally have apples on the table, but the person really doesn't want apples, rather find out and give them the leases they desire as to forcing apples purely because it's available. Can you agree?
100%. I mean, in the beginning when I became a coach, I worked for a company that had these cookie cutter things, and this is how you had to do it, etc. I mean, with that other client, I said to her, we're going to break the rules and we'll just do it our way. And I was uncomfortable. I couldn't coach like that.
Mm-hmm.
I was losing clients as fast as I could sign them. It was the moment I broke away from them and just said, screw it, I'm doing my own way. I'm doing for what the client requires. Yeah. I went from having 3 clients to having a full diary.
Interesting.
And the full, I've had to go re-engineer the way I work the journeys. Okay, I'm going to use the word journeys, not packages or programs, etc.
Okay.
I actually use the word agreements. Okay, I don't have contracts. I have agreements with people to enable more effective coaching. Excellent. So that I can help more people. Part of which is introducing coaches to work with me under the business. And that way I can fulfill that end of the day vision that I have.
That's very interesting. Now, from a visual perspective, I see 2 things behind you that I think needs explanation, because people that are on this call want to say, okay, Archie Inspirations make a lot of sense. What are the 2 other things behind you? The one is child wealth and the other one is stack shop. So you're not going to get away with it. Tell us what they are about. Child welfare. Why is that behind you? It has a story.
Yes, it has a story. Child welfare. In BNI, I met Barbara, and she was the director of child welfare Germiston, and it's something that hit my heart. My own upbringing, my own childhood, there's long stories behind it, but we'll keep the story short. And I offered her complimentary coaching as me giving back. And that relationship grew. The next thing, Kenny, why don't you come to our AGM and do a presentation on your coaching at the AGM? I went and I did that. It was in the middle of lockdown in COVID, so it was their first online AGM that they did. The next thing is, Kenny, would you like to come and just join one of our board meetings, board of management meetings? Yeah, sure, I'll come along. Kenny, don't you want to become one of our board members? Sure. And last year, Kenny, I think you're ready to take over as chairman, will you? And I did. So now I'm chairman of the Child Welfare Board. So that's what I'm doing. We were at golf day yesterday. It just gives me a lot of satisfaction. It gives me a fulfillment. It helps me in the coaching business You always get people, please you do it for free. It's easier to say no to them because I'm giving where I can in the right way. So that's my child welfare story.
I
Big
just want to
passion for
encourage you
mine,
on.
raising
I just
money.
want to encourage you on the child welfare is that I saw the line of commitment. You first were in this position, then stepped up to the next thing, then to the next, till eventually, uh, to the board, to the chair, and that just shows that your longevity of once you walk with a client, you're there to add value. I think that's what you need not said, but I can see that in the actions. And I just want to say kudos to you because that is really something that you can say well done to yourself. Okay, thank you for that. The tax shop, talk to us.
Okay. Tax shop is a new acquisition. Funny enough, so there's two companies here that got involved into the one. The one is who's now partnership with me. She had her own tax business, who was my accountant. She came and rescued me from SARS one day and been my accountant ever since. And then Tax Shop Better Review was also a client of mine. Actually became a coach with me for a year and went off in, and she's gone in different directions, decided she wanted to sell her tax business, the tax shop. It's a franchise. And she asked me, do you know anybody who wants to buy it? So I'll look at it. But there was this little nagging thing in the back of my head going, this could be an option. Obviously, I coached both these businesses. I know what's in there. I know how they run. I know what's been going on. And then I said to Sarah, you're interested in buying this tax shop? And she said to me, this should jump at it. She just had another money. Okay. So she said, no, she's going to see how she can maybe raise the finances. Okay. And then a couple of weeks later, I said, what's your thoughts on the tax shop? And she says, no, she really wants to do it. I said to her, should I do it with you? And she was like shocked. I said, okay, well, let me invest in your business and then we take your business and we buy the tax shop. So that's what we've done. And we're in the process of the whole changeover and all of that now. So it will become the tax shop Taxi Y and not tax shop Better Review.
Excellent. Well, that says so much about you. I can see the line of commitment, the line of joint venture, the power of leverage. I mean, all of those are just jumping out right at me. Well, I want to thank you for your time today because I think you're a very interesting person, and I really trust that people listening to this will resonate and say, Kenny's my kind of guy. If it's about Archer Inspirations, let them contact you. So your details will be made available. You send them to me on WhatsApp, please, so we can get that going. But I want to thank you. But I want to give you the opportunity for one last message. This is all about unleashing potential. I'd like you to speak to your potential out there in terms of unleashing their potential. We're listening.
Everybody has a blockage. And sometimes we just can't see it. And that blockage is what prevents us from growing. Whether it's a mental blockage, a physical blockage, an emotional blockage, let's figure out what it is and we can help you grow. Because until you actually stop and recognize it and accept it and acknowledge it, you can't do anything about it. And if you want to get to know how I'm living proof of that, just give me a shout.
Fantastic.
Thanks so much, Doc, for the opportunity. It's brilliant.
Only a pleasure. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Kenny Archer from Archer Inspirations, but also has a heart for children in terms of welfare to them and doing good to them, but also, can I say, co-venturing with other people who've got a heart for children and say, let's actually invest in their welfare. And of course, because of business acumen, the tax side of helping with tax, because he's in partnership with someone that has got a passion to make tax work for you in a proper, positive way. So that was Kenny Archer. Contact him, do the tie-up and all things. All I can say to you is, if you want to unleash your potential, you've got a connectivity partner right here that says, I'm available to journey with you. I thank you until next time. That's Doc Ed signing off.